Mr. Fauci, do you represent science, Mr. Fauci? Yes, you said you represent science. Do you represent science, Mr. Fauci? You did sign off on these so-called scientific experiments. And as a dog lover, I want to tell you this is disgusting and evil, what you signed off on, and these experiments that happened to beagles paid for by the American taxpayer. And I want you to know Americans don't pay their taxes for animals to be tortured like this.
Kristi Noem, Governor of South Dakota. This is how we do social distancing in our state.
That was great.
Less COVID, more hunting. That's the plan for the future.
Millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, and these government agencies, most powerful agencies in our country, are recommending medical suggestions and advice and making up guidelines like 6 feet distancing and masking of children. Do you think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci?
Abused like that? I think you and I have a different idea of what abuse amounts to. You don't want to find out what my idea of abuse amounts to, because it's sure as F not wearing a mask to protect our frickin' children and our elderly parents.
Because you're not doctor, you're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes. No, I don't need your answer. I want to talk about this right here.
Lady, if you don't want an answer to your question, why are you asking it? You're talking about wasting the taxpayers' time and money? You're wasting our time and money by asking questions you don't want answers to.
Mr. Chairman,
Fauci, I
objection.
reclaim my
Mr.
time.
Objection.
And a lady will
Point of order.
suspend.
Mr. Chairman,
Point of order.
just in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just because we don't want him to be a doctor?
Yes.
She's known as Dr. B to her students. Biden earned her doctorate of education from the University of Delaware in 2007.
Because in my time, that man does not deserve to have a license. As a matter of fact, it should be revoked, and he belongs in
Gentleman will
prison.
suspend.
Lady, you crazy. Like, we knew you was crazy, but you bonkers crazy. Like, bonkers crazy. If anybody's guilty or responsible for all the death that happened in America over COVID, it's Donald Trump. Donald Trump put Dr. Fauci in his position. So if you want to blame Dr. Fauci, which I don't think Dr. Fauci should be taking any blame for anything, they had a pandemic playbook. Obama had it made. Donald Trump threw it away as one of his first acts as president. Threw it away. No pandemic in sight. Just said, hey, Obama made this. It's got to go. And then a pandemic came and he was like, oh, what the we do? Well, let's watch 1 million Americans die and blame it on Dr. Fauci. If you're going to blame him, then you have got to blame Donald Trump. Mister, here's a commendation for my warp speed program because he did such a good job for me. But he's a villain and needs to go to jail. Donald Trump put him in that position to do the job that he did. So if anybody's guilty, it's the person that put him in that very position to get that job done, don't you think? And if that person didn't take that job away while that person was doing all this wrong, isn't that their fault for not stopping it when they had the power to stop it? If Dr. Fauci is really to blame, why didn't Donald Trump stop him? He had the power to stop him, but instead, what'd he do? He gave him a commendation for warp speed.
And the gentlelady should recognize the doctor as a doctor.
Is this what we have become? Is this what we have devolved into? No decorum.
You know what? We can do that hearing about the poor men that were injected with syphilis.
And I have instructed her.
He's not respected.
And I've instructed her to address him as a doctor.
I'm not
Gentlelady
addressing
shall
him as
continue.
doctor. Let's talk about. Let's talk
Mr.
about
Chairman,
this.
I
I'm
would move
reclaiming
that the
my
woman's
time. I'm reclaiming my time.
Words get taken
I'm
down.
reclaiming my time.
Second that.
Point of order.
Suspend.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a point of order.
Mr.
Because
Griffin
they
is
accused us
Mr.
of
Griffin is
worshiping
gentlelady-
President Trump. We don't
gentlelady-
worship President Trump.
Gentlelady will suspend.
Your science is displayed perfectly in this picture where children in school were put in plastic bubbles because of your science, your repulsive, evil science.
Look, I can see if out of these bubbles came these purple squid-armed tentacles, like they were doing these weird experiments on these kids in these bubbles. But they weren't. They were just trying to stop the transmission of a deadly virus to their elderly grandparents at home. See, I can see saying splicing a human being with a monkey. I could see calling that science inherently evil. Yeah, sure. But making guidelines like wearing a mask to protect yourself from other people's viruses and to protect other people from your viruses as evil? That's crazy town. That's propaganda.
Children all over America were forced to wear masks. Healthy children forced to wear masks, muzzled.
Healthy children muzzled. They could still talk. They could still pull it down and eat. They could still pull it down and bite you. It wasn't like chained to their faces.
Because of your so-called science and your medical suggestions.
You know, we've reached peak insanity when we've got an uneducated Karen on the floor of Congress berating the guy that cured AIDS, telling him that his science is evil and has got to go and he needs to be punished and jailed. You know, we have reached peak insanity and we are about to enter Handmaid's Tale territory. Call me crazy now, but I will be on the right side of history.
What this committee should be doing, we should be recommending you to be prosecuted. We should be writing a criminal referral because you should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. You belong in prison, Dr. Fauci, because you're not doctor. You're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes. I'm not addressing him as doctor. Dr. Fauci.
Ha! Sucker! But I digress. And this is what happens. This is the future that we will see if Donald Trump wins. We will have people in leadership out for retribution. The power structure in the military will be reorganized under one person, Donald Trump. And the people that will be allowed to use that power will be people that are super loyal to him, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. If a future where this lady has power of like tanks doesn't freaking scare you, I don't think you have fear in your body. I don't think you're capable